Thousands of Methodists from one of the oldest mainline Protestant organizations in this country. A formal split is expected to be approved next year, but by then, it might not matter. Michael Harrington, SRN News.
Georgia Republican Governor Brian Kemp has signed a ban on sex change operations and puberty-blocking medication for children. Governors in Mississippi, Utah, and South Dakota have signed similar bills, and other states are considering their own. Parents across the country have been expressing concern about instances of children obtaining drugs and surgeries so as to live as the opposite sex without parental approval or even notification. This is SRN News. A human rights group in Mexico is criticizing authorities for lax law enforcement in connection with the investigation into the disappearance of more than 36 student teachers 9 years ago.
In 2014, 43 young trainee teachers disappeared in Guerrero State in the south. Their disappearance and the botched investigation which followed triggered protest and outrage in Mexico. 8 years on, a presidential truth commission set up to investigate the case described it as a crime of the state.
And that is the BBC's Elsa Hawkins reporting. A group of Republican senators has introduced a bill that would designate Mexican drug cartels as terrorist organizations. The bill would slap the label of foreign terrorist organization on 9 separate Mexican drug cartels. The Republicans sponsoring the bill say that Mexico has lost control.
The following program is sponsored by the law offices of Patrick L. Smith. This is the Attorney Patrick Smith Show. Get ready with your legal questions and call Patrick now. 877-943-9673. Again, that's 877-943-9673. The law office is open. And now your host, Patrick Smith.
I'm so indicted, and I just can't hide it. I'm about to go to jail, and I don't like it. I'm so indicted, and I just can't hide it.
Oh, hi there, and welcome to the Attorney Patrick Smith Show. As you guessed it, this is our indictment special discussing the indictment of former President Trump as of this Thursday. So we will be giving you what you need to know. So the most basic kind of where we are now, as I stated, Thursday, and this is according to CNN. Oh, by the way, a very special thank you to the Tonight Show, courtesy of Jimmy Fallon's TikTok, for that opening montage with clips from former President Trump. And the CNN source tells us that on Thursday, former President Donald Trump will now face more than 30 counts related to alleged business fraud, according to a Manhattan grand jury. It's the first time in U.S. history that a current or former president has been criminally charged. The indictment was filed under seal, and charges are not yet public. So as of our on-air broadcast time, no current indictment to read and go over with you. But of course, once it's available, we'll be happy to walk you, the listeners of the Attorney Patrick Smith Show, through this indictment. Trump is expected to appear in court on Tuesday afternoon for his arraignment. Sources tell CNN Trump's attorney said the former president will absolutely voluntarily surrender to New York law enforcement and plans to file substantial legal challenges, and substantials in quotes. The Manhattan District Attorney's Office has been investigating the former president in connection with his alleged role in a hush money payment scheme and covering up a relationship with one Stormy Daniels that apparently dates back to prior to the 2016 presidential election of President Trump. So if you have a question, thought, concern, opinion about the indictment of President Trump and you want to express it, this is the Attorney Patrick Smith Show. I'm your host, Attorney Patrick Smith. You can give us a call now. We're live and local, and of course, fielding all your other legal questions you may have. So give us a call. Open studio lines, 877-943-9673, 877-943-9673. That's your live and local studio line to give us a call. If you want to email your question, patrick@attorneypatricksmith.com. Patrick@attorneypatricksmith.com. So, but we'd rather talk to you live on the show. So 877-943-9673. 946-738-9673. Good morning, Yumiko. How are you today?
Good morning, Patrick. I'm good.
Yumiko, it's so great to be back in our own studio. I don't realize how much I like doing the show from here until I do the show from somewhere else. Last week, of course, we were on location at Stetson University's Model Senate. And again, thank you to everyone who supported and tuned in for that broadcast and called in with your questions. But it's and the WHAT studios are an amazing facility at Stetson University that I completely did not know existed my entire 3.5 years at Stetson University, and sort of stumbled on it last year during Model Senate when someone said, we have a radio studio here, and the great Joe Weaver made it happen a year too. So we plan to do that yearly from Model Senate, but it does make me appreciate what feels like coming home, Yumiko. So we appreciate you being here this morning, and thanks for producing the show. It's great to be back with you. So if you have a question this morning, 877-943-9673, 877-943-9673. You can call in now. We're live and local, open studio lines, and you can also email your question, patrick@attorneypatricksmith.com. So I want to talk about something that Governor DeSantis actually came out with this week in response to the Trump indictment. According to ABC News, Governor DeSantis referred to it in a tweet as the weaponization of the legal system to advance a political agenda, and it turns the rule of law on its head. So do you agree with Governor DeSantis? Is this politically motivated? Is it not politically motivated? What is sort of the goal here? Now, to bring you up to speed on what an indictment is simply the bringing of charges. And there's the famous quote from another Superior Court judge out of New York that said, if you can indict a ham sandwich if you wanted to. So the standard for an indictment is such that it's a much lower standard than what you have to prove at trial, which is, of course, the beyond a reasonable doubt standard. In New York State, according to New York State statute, it is that probable cause to believe that a felony was committed and probable cause to believe this defendant committed this felony. So the probable cause standard, probably one of the lowest rungs to achieve in the legal process. And like I said, far below the standard of beyond a reasonable doubt. So what does it mean if, President Trump faces these charges and no conviction results? Is he stronger because of it? Is this another version of the failed attempt to remove Trump from office through the impeachment process? Of course, he was impeached, but not removed from office. Many said he came out stronger because of that. So if these charges are brought and he somehow maneuvers around them, has it done anything else besides, bring up support amongst his base, who is obviously rallying to his defense at this point? And at the same time, President Trump showing no signs of moving down on the campaign trail. As I was walking by Brian, the call screener's booth this morning, I saw an ad on the television that was attacking Governor DeSantis. And the attack was apparently funded by a Make America Great Again source. So the ads running actively in an apparent, campaign effort. And it's a situation where you have to sit there and say, what's the goal? How is this, and is this possibly something that could ultimately benefit President Trump in his presidential campaign? So if you have a thought on it, 877-943-9673, 877-943-9673. You can give us a call now. We're live and local, happy to help any way we can. Open studio lines. And as always, you can email your question, patrick@attorneypatricksmith.com. So patrick@attorneypatricksmith.com, or to talk to us live here on the air, 877-943-9673. And you can call in with any legal question or your thought on the indictment of former President Donald Trump. So 877-943-9673. All right, let's go to Wesley Chapel and let's talk to Tracy. Tracy, welcome to the Attorney Patrick Smith Show.
Thank you, Patrick. It's good to be with you.
Yeah, Tracy. So tell me what you think about the Trump indictment.
Honestly, I think it's very politically charged and that the DA is grandstanding and really just trying to make a name for himself.
Okay. So to that point, one of the criticisms we discovered in our show prep is this, and I think it was Governor DeSantis who actually made this point, was that apparently George Soros is maybe one of the backers for the the state attorney's office that brought these charges, or at least one of his foundations or charitable arms was responsible for some donations. So you think this is politically motivated?
Absolutely. The DA also ran on a platform that he was going to go after Trump if he was elected.
So you think this is nothing more than a political attack and sort of the future of our politics that is saying it's going to be the new modern politics is social media warfare and now legal battles?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's the shifting sands where we're looking at for the foreseeable future. That is the new debate platform, so to speak. It's no longer the classic stand behind a podium and exchange thoughts and ideas at a lofty level. It's let's exchange tweets and then sue each other and see who prevails in court. So, but this is the Tracy who emailed me during the week about your grand opening today, right?
Yes, I did.
Tracy, take 30 seconds. Give your grand opening a shout out.
All right. Well, we just want to invite everyone to our grand opening of our Flip Flop shop that's located in Wesley Chapel in the Shops at New Tampa. Our address is 1752 Bruce B. Downs Boulevard. We're located across the street from the Shops at Wiregrass. We carry Olakai Reefs, UFOs, Hey Dudes, Birkenstock, and Crocs, just to name a few of our top brands. We also have many accessories to choose from, which we specifically carry because of how they give back to our communities, our wildlife, and our oceans. Some of those are our follow bracelets, Sand Cloud. We also carry Solar Ocean and a few of other items that we're going to carry. Today, we're going to be open from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., and our celebration is going to begin at 11 a.m. We have hundreds of free prizes to give away. So we're just asking you to come join us for some food fun and find out from us how you can free your toes.
All right. So grand opening, Flip Flop Shop, Wesley Chapel. Go out and meet Tracy and your husband, Kevin, in person.
Yes.
And I heard, by the way, the rumor mill was that you guys were actually doing a politician special. Anybody who's holding elective office, you're calling it the Flip Flop Special because they're politicians. They can buy one flip flop and get the other one free. Is that correct?
Well, I think that would work out just fine.
Tracy, we appreciate you calling in. Enjoy the rest of your day. Good luck with the grand opening. Let us know how it goes, okay?
Patrick, thanks for having me on. Have a great day.
You're welcome, Tracy. All righty, 877-943-9673. I'm your host, Attorney Patrick Smith. This is the Attorney Patrick Smith Show. And we're talking about President Trump and his indictment. Obviously, it's the big news of the week. And, I think one of the takeaways from this is ultimately what he got charged with. Notice it was nothing to do with Russia. And we heard for years how there was this Russia connection. And apparently that didn't stick. So this appears to be what they were finally able to get the charges brought. But as I said, if you're an anti-Trump guy, I wouldn't get too excited yet because the indictment standard pretty low. He hasn't been convicted yet. And it's a long legal process. And I'm sure President Trump has some amazing attorneys who are going to, volley some significant defenses to this. And it's going to be interesting, but it is a situation where we have to consider several firsts. It's the first time a former president has been in this situation. It's the first time that a current presidential candidate is in this situation. So facing criminal charges. And I can't think of anything more that would fire up a base. So I don't know. This might actually have a really weird backfire and help President Trump. So for those of you who are the anti-Trump crowd, I wouldn't get too excited too fast. Remember, in 2016, he was the laughingstock of the presidential election. There was no way he was going to lose to Hillary. Look what happened. So remember, I wouldn't underestimate this guy. 877-943-9673. Give us a call now with your opinion on the President Trump indictment or any other legal question. 877-943-9673. We'd love to talk to you this morning. Open studio lines or email me, patrick@attorneypatricksmith.com. All right, next we're going to go to Tampa and talk to Dean. Dean, welcome to the Attorney Patrick Smith Show.
Hey, Patrick. It's interesting that DeSantis has said what he said, and obviously it's a good move to say that about Trump's indictment. But the weaponization of the government and powers, for political or even personal gains. I feel there's a bit of hypocrisy, and I'm not going to say whether I even like DeSantis or not, but I see right through the hypocrisy of really what he did with Disney and what's going on there. kind of very Trumpian in the revenge tactics of attacking political enemies, using the government to do so. And I'd like to hear your take on that, on some of the similarities between what he just said about Trump's indictment versus what he's actually doing with several other things, especially the past year.
So I have a couple of thoughts on that. I was actually talking to some criminal defense attorneys yesterday, since I don't do any criminal defense work, but I see it kind of on the periphery as I refer those cases. And we have attorney Matt Kendall on the show on a regular basis. So I was talking to some criminal defense attorneys about, what the governor said about not assisting in the extradition. And their takeaway was that was completely superfluous. There was no need for that comment because Trump has given no indication that he intends to hold up in Mar-a-Lago and fight extradition. In fact, the statement, according to CNN, he's cooperative in every way.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think, Dean? My initial thought was this. Every time the Trump indictment gets brought up, he's in the news cycle. And when he's in the news cycle, who isn't?
Yeah.
And so I think that was really more of a political maneuver by Governor DeSantis to sort of get his name pushed to the top of the political news cycle to make sure that people don't forget about him. And I think that is where it's this interesting sort of hybrid of legal battle and political battle that we've never seen before. The closest thing to it in my political memory, and I was at Stetson University as an undergrad when this happened. It was the 2000 campaign, Bush v. Gore, where that one ultimately got decided by the Supreme Court. So this was sort of harkens back to that, where the legal battle is going to have, a strong outcome determinative effect on a presidential campaign. So I think that's what I see Governor DeSantis doing, making certain that despite all the Trump attention, people remember he's there too. Dean, what do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I agree, but you didn't exactly answer my question about how, and I totally agree with what you said. You're spot on, Patrick. But the level of hypocrisy of what he is claiming, using the government as a weaponization method, isn't that what he did with Disney? Isn't that what he's doing with Disney?
Oh, I see your question. So you're saying the former Disney attack by Governor DeSantis, isn't that a type of weapon?
He's using the government as a weapon against a political enemy.
I think that's a fair criticism. And I think that to say, and that's an indicator that, it's certainly not the first time a politician's done something hypocritical, let's be honest. But I think at the end of the day, this is a scenario where we're seeing sort of, this buffet style where it's going to be a pick and choose style. And I'm a big fan of Governor DeSantis. I think he's doing an amazing job. And I think, to be honest with you, he sort of maybe paid a little political price for that war with Disney. I think he took a little, it wasn't really a political crash, but there was a ding because of that. That's a war where no one wins. Disney certainly isn't going to win that, and the governor's not going to win it, but both sides can lose it. And I think that's why you've seen that sort of back off from a political agenda, because they sort of realize that it would be a Pyrrhic victory at best. And when that's the case, why invest the political capital and the time?
Yeah, I don't know if you need to get caught up on how I think the sleeves are going to get rolled up with the Disney fight because of what the outgoing board just did to hog tie the new incoming hand-selected board by DeSantis. And so that'll be really interesting to follow coming up. There's going to be a big legal fight.
Well, and to that end, welcome to the new political world where it's a battle of tweets, yet, baby, and it's a battle of lawsuits. It's no longer two candidates standing behind the podium or going out and kissing babies and shaking hands and good old fashioned campaigning. That's all still part of it. But
hey, thanks for listening and your take. I'm going to hang up and keep on listening. I just got to say that this next year and a half, 2 years is going to be a wild ride.
I agree with you, Dean.
Every step of the way.
Stay tuned. We'll be covering it here. Have a great Saturday, Dean.
All right, keep it up. Bye bye.
877-943-9673. 877-943-9673. I'm your host, Attorney Patrick Smith. This is the Attorney Patrick Smith Show, and we're talking all things Trump indictment related today, and of course, answering all your legal questions. So feel free to give us a call. 877-943-9673. For those of you who want to reach me at the office during the week to set up a complimentary consultation, 877-754-6764. That's your live and local line to call toll free to schedule your complimentary consultation in Clearwater, Sarasota, Sun City Center, and it's 877-754-6764. Also available for speaking engagements. And a very big turnout at Heritage in Claremont this past week. First time speaking at Heritage Hills in a while, and great to be back there. So if you have a club, group, organization that needs a speaker, we're available free of charge, and you can reach the office to book us to speak at your group, 877-754-6764. All right, let's go right back to the phones. Let's go to Sarasota and talk to Jim. Jim, welcome to the Attorney Patrick Smith Show.
Hey, I'd like to talk about ethics a little bit. Did you have an ethics course when you were going to law school?
We actually had two ethics courses. We had an ethics course in law school, and then there's an actual separate ethics exam you take prior to the passing of the Florida bar.
Well, evidently the DA in New York must have failed that course.
Hold on, just to make sure we keep the apples to apples, oranges to oranges. I'm a licensed Florida attorney, not a licensed New York attorney. The attorney here involved a licensed New York State attorney, so I don't know what their ethics requirements are in New York State. So I'm without knowledge there, Jim. But Florida definitely has some ethics tests and ethics exams that you have to sit for.
I have another quick question.
Go ahead, Jim.
This is a basketball season, and I've got a question on ethics in basketball. In the charging situation where the big guy comes, the guy is almost stopped in place, but maybe not quite. And the big guy crunches him and knocks him down, and then the foul is on the guy that knocked the other guy down. That's stretching it a little on the ethics side, I think.
Are we making that a political analogy? Is Trump the guy getting hit, or is he the guy getting the foul? I'm confused.
Well, I wasn't trying to make a political
just
analogy.
A straight sports observation.
Yeah, it's an ethics problem, I think. With we were going to talk about football one time, but we never got around to it. There's a similar thing in football where they punch the ball out.
Oh, this is that, Jim. Yeah, we spoke off the air, and you called in about that and talked about the ethics of sort of the more aggressive style of play. So
yeah, well, a similar thing is going on in basketball with the charging foul.
Yeah, I agree with you, Jim. I mean, this is not a sports show, but I appreciate your comments on ethics regardless, Jim.
Okay, that's it.
All righty, Jim. Enjoy Sarasota. 877-943-9673 to be part of the show. Jim hanging up opens up a line. So if you've been trying to get in, lots of calls coming in. Trump indictment. We knew that was going to be a popular topic. Give us a call now. 877-943-9673. Express your thoughts on the Trump indictment scenario. I'm Attorney Patrick Smith, and you're listening to the Attorney Patrick Smith Show. All right, let's go to Rick in Tampa. Rick, welcome to the Attorney Patrick Smith Show.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Great, Rick. How can we help?
Good. Kind of two comments. One on the indictment. When it comes to probable cause and making an arrest before going to the state attorney's office and that kind of thing, I'm pretty familiar that there's an overwhelming amount of cases that do not end up getting filed by the state when they're brought forward. I'm not sure the exact number, but I'd want to say it's probably 70%. If there's somebody in there that might know that. A lot of times the probable cause is enough to make the arrest, but it's not enough to go to trial, and then state attorneys end up dropping the cases altogether. That happens every day in the criminal world.
And it's also in the indictment process, it's one-sided. Only one side presents to the grand jury. So there's not like a prosecution and a defense team that goes in there to the grand jury. So it's by design, it's secret and it's one-sided. So it's not designed to sort of have this fair balance, because that's not the indictment process. That's what the trial process is for.
Right. And then the other comment I wanted to make was, for the voters that are out there that are kind of on the fence, the last time a lot of these on the fence voters, it's like they either voted because they didn't like Trump. It was kind of like the lesser of the two evils, and so to say. And now here we are in the same situation where, if you look at the way the direction the country's been going and what's happening now with all the witch hunts and all that stuff, if you really look for the direction of the country, and we're back in that situation of what's the better of the two evils or the lesser of the two evils. And I think a lot of voters might sway towards the Trump side just to see, because of what's happening and seeing the witch hunt and seeing the steps that the other side is going through to make things not happen. And I think if you look at it objectively in that sense, you might get a lot of push towards the Trump campaign.
Well, and Rick, I appreciate your commentary on that. So walk with me down this path, if you don't mind, if you have a moment. So let's say we have a President Trump who was integral, arguably, in helping Governor DeSantis win the governor's mansion. Because at that time, according to a statement, I think it was a few weeks ago, President Trump released a statement basically saying, prior to my endorsement, another candidate, former agricultural commissioner named Adam Putnam, was actually leading in the polls. And then Ron DeSantis was given the MAGA endorsement, and then, of course, ultimately won the election. So some Republicans feel it's a little bit like the governor's biting the hand that fed him. And the question becomes, if Governor DeSantis decides to run against President Trump, and President Trump does not walk away with the Republican nomination, how likely do you think Trump is to run third party just to split the vote, to send the message of, well, if I'm not going to be president, then neither are you, Governor DeSantis? You think that's likely to happen?
Right. That is a big problem in both sides. You do have a lot of candidates that can take away from the other one and split votes, and then you have the other side that can prevail just because of that. That is a big problem. But kind of like what I was going back to before with the people that are on the fence, and seeing everything that's been happening the last few years, and it's like they could be fed up with it. They're fed up with all the money going out and the inflation and all that. And it's like you look at what's the lesser of the two evils, and I think this is another step kind of direction where it's like, how much stuff are we going to put up with from this one side, before we need to make a stand and just say enough is enough. Let's get this country back on the right path and move forward and get businesses going and get the economy going and stop giving all this money everywhere. And here's just another way to try to take that out. And I think that's okay. When you look at the people that are on the fence, I think that's kind of where this might make a big stand on that as well.
And Rick, if you were a political advisor to Governor DeSantis, how likely would you be to lean in the governor's ear and say, Mr. Governor, consider this, in light of the fact that even if you win the primary and Trump can run third party, split the vote, you're now, basically not going to be able to be president of the United States, versus how good does this sound? If Governor DeSantis goes on the air press conference and says, I've decided that it's not the right time for me to run for president because I made a commitment to the people of the state of Florida to serve as their governor. I'm going to finish my term as governor and then explore my other options. Isn't taking that step back a great way to avoid a lot of political damage?
I think that, I'd hate to lose Governor DeSantis. I think he's doing a great job for the state. So, yeah, I'm in agreement with that. I think it's going to come to a point where if they start to see the numbers dividing in that sense, they need to take a step back and combine and figure out the best way to overcome it.
All right. Well, Rick, we appreciate your insight. Thanks for calling in. Have a great Saturday.
Thanks, you too.
All righty, 877-943-9673. Rick hanging up opens up the line, 877-943-9673. This is the Attorney Patrick Smith Show, and I'm your host, Attorney Patrick Smith. Give us a call now with your legal questions or your thoughts on the President Trump indictment, 877-943-9673. And you can email your questions, patrick@attorneypatricksmith.com. Again, that email address, patrick@attorneypatricksmith.com. All right, let's go to Clearwater and talk to a very patient Sharon. Sharon, welcome to the Attorney Patrick Smith Show. How may we help you today?
Hi, Patrick. Thank you for the program and all that you do. I really appreciate it.
You're very kind, Sharon. I appreciate your kind words. Thank you.
I have a situation with my son. He set up so that his lot rent in his mobile home park for the first time would come out of his checking account. And they didn't do it on time. They put up a notice on his door that his rent was past due, which it wasn't, or I should say, because of their lack of doing it, it wasn't. And unfortunately, he did some pounding on the door of the office manager and got evicted. And that was a month ago. His 30 days is up on April 8th. His place is for sale. His belongings can stay in the home, as I understand it, until it's sold. But I'm wondering about his presence there in the mobile home park and whether, because his lot rent will be paid again in April, if there is some precedent that he could stay there until his home is sold. Or does he have to remove himself from the park?
It's going to depend on exactly what legal action was taken against him. So do you have a copy of the paperwork that he was served?
I do not.
All right. So he needs to get that paperwork and get with an attorney. If he needs guidance to someone, have him call me at the office and I'll put him in touch with Attorney Scott Smothers, who handles a lot of our eviction cases, or an attorney who may be a little closer to him. But we will get him in touch with someone who can provide him a clear answer to that question about whether or not it's safe for him to return. If he was trespassed from it, the last thing I want him to do is return after he's trespassed and get arrested. That's going out of the frying pan and into the fire. So I would have him get with an attorney as soon as possible and have the paperwork reviewed so he can understand exactly what he can and cannot do.
Okay. All right.
Sharon, I'll give out the office line as soon as you hang up, okay?
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. All righty. This is the Attorney Patrick Smith Show. 877-943-9673. 877-943-9673 is your live and local studio line. If you want to be part of the show today to discuss President Trump's indictments, Governor DeSantis's comments about not assisting in any extradition that appears to be completely unnecessary anyway, because President Trump has indicated he's cooperating with the office, the Manhattan Attorney's Office. So 877-943-9673. Give us a call now. We're live and local. You can express your thoughts. And per Sharon's request, the office line, if you want to reach us at the office during the week, 877-754-6764. 877-754-6764. Again, that's the number to reach us toll free at the office if you want to schedule your complimentary consultation for Clearwater, where Sharon was calling from, Sarasota, Sun City Center, any of our office locations. You can call one number, 877-754-6764. But to be part of today's program with your legal question, any legal question at all, like Sharon's about an eviction from a mobile home park, or any other legal topic we can help you with, or if you have thoughts on President Trump's most recent indictment as of Thursday, you're welcome to call in with those thoughts as well. 877-943-9673. All right, let's go to Seminole and talk to Ron. Ron, welcome to the Attorney Patrick Smith Show.
Hi.
Hey, Ron.
I was going to say this first. Excuse me. I believe it was Attorney Joe that used to have the program, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I know he did an excellent job, and you're doing a great job. You were the perfect person to take over for him, and I love your sweet spirit.
Well, I couldn't agree more with you, and I appreciate your kind words. So, Ron, that means a lot to me. Thank you.
Yeah. This is the first time I've ever called for anything like this, but I have an oil investment, and it's in bankruptcy, and I got some questions that I need to answer for this claim. And it starts out with United States Bankruptcy Court, Southern District of Texas, Houston Division, and it's Chapter 11. And it's got the case number. Mm-hmm. But one of the questions that I'm having a problem with, it says here, is all or part of the claim secured? And it's got no, and under the yes, it's got the claim is secured by a lien on property. And then it says nature of property, real estate, motor vehicle, other describe. And so it seems to me I would be putting no.
Hey, Ron, let me just stop you for a second. And by the way, first time caller, you're doing an amazing job. So make sure you call back again in the future, okay? Because you're terrific as a caller. Secondly,
thank
you need that paperwork reviewed by an attorney. Now, Ron, going back to what you started with early on in your description of the paperwork, what type of attorney do you think you need? And by type, I mean a state. From what state does your attorney need to be?
Texas.
You got it. That's right. So do you have Texas counsel?
No.
We will help you find one. I've worked with Texas attorneys over the years. We can put you in touch with one that can get you the sort of assistance you need. So do not fill out any paperwork. Do not sign anything or submit anything until you've talked to a good licensed Texas mineral rights attorney to make sure that you fill that paperwork out in your best interest. Okay?
Okay, appreciate that.
Ron, again, thank you for your kind words. I'll treasure them forever, and don't be a stranger to the show.
Okay, and thank you. And I want to just say something about this, the Trump thing.
Go ahead, Ron.
I think the people that are involved in this are evil. I mean, it was disgusting with the impeachments. I mean, they were all Democrats. I mean, it was so obvious. It was one-sided. And I'm so fed up with what they're pulling. I mean, all this is political. I appreciated Franklin Graham that he had the guts to say that this was political, and it's all to try to hurt him on the 2024 deal. So anyway, I just wanted to say that.
Well, Ron, we appreciate your insight. And again, thank you for your faithful listenership to the show.
Okay, and thank
All right.
you.
Have a great day, Ron. All righty, 877-943-9673. Ron hanging up does open up a line if you've been trying to get in. 877-943-9673. This is the Attorney Patrick Smith Show. We are live. Today is Saturday, April 1st, and you can be part of the show. I thought about doing an April Fool's thing, and it just felt like it was not, there were so many ways that it could have gone wrong that I decided it really wasn't worth the risk of doing bad radio. I mean, Yumiko, we have to come up with better ideas for next year for April. I thought about doing like a last show announcement, like this was my last show. And then I realized some people might take it seriously.
Yeah, definitely.
Like a Mr. Joe Weaver.
Mhm.
And I didn't want Joe calling in and panicking. So just so many ways it could go. And I've had them go sideways in the past. So we're skipping this year's April Fools. And if we find a good, safe way to have something funny without it actually possibly causing real harm, we'll do something next year. But 877-943 to be part of 943-9673 to be part of today's show. 877-943-9673. Attorney Patrick Smith, and we're discussing the Trump indictment that came down on Thursday. And we will be doing a follow-up once the indictment's unsealed and going through the 30 counts with you to a certain degree to make sure we understand. All right, next we're going to go to Pinellas and we're going to talk to Jane. Jane, welcome to the Attorney Patrick Smith Show.
Good morning, Patrick.
Good morning, Jane.
I'm a very conservative person, old-fashioned, believe in the commandments and all that sort of thing. And I paralleled this thing with Stormy Daniels.
You believe in the commandments, you said, correct?
Absolutely. I'm as old-fashioned as you can get.
Can you name all?
87 years old.
87. Okay, I have so many questions. Let's pause for just a moment, Jane. I know you have a comment on Trump, and I promise I'll give you the allotted time for your Trump comment.
That's fine. It's brief.
Can you name
Go ahead,
all?
Patrick.
Can you name all 10 commandments now?
No.
Okay, that's an honest answer.
But I'll tell you one that would be very fitting that would serve the purpose for everything.
Go.
From Hebrews 11:6. For he that cometh to God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of all those that seek him.
So, Jane, in your 87 years on Earth, what is the most important thing that you've learned and want to share with the Attorney Patrick Smith Show audience?
I just did.
There you go. That's a good answer. And Jane, I have one follow-up question, just because of your 87 trips around the sun. If I'm 41, so if you could get a message back to 41-year-old Jane, what would that message be and why?
I revert. I based a very large discussion and lecture years ago to an audience of maybe 2,500 people. And I based it on that scripture. And it doesn't matter what religion or whatever, we're all God's children. But it basically covered everything. I was trying to figure out what kind of topic, because I was very involved in missionary work at that time.
Well, thank you for your years of service as a missionary. That's wonderful. I appreciate
it. I know it. It was a personal mission. I didn't officially go, but every day is a mission.
Amen.
Go,
Jane, what was the Trump comment you wanted to make?
Okay. In brief, men have needs. This man, through his own personal choice, decided to do something that normal people don't do. I don't mean he's abnormal, but in other words.
Well, and before you go too much further, Jane, you keep it clean for broadcast, okay?
Oh, I wouldn't be on here if I didn't.
Okay, I'm just playing it safe.
But the bottom line is the man decided to do something to meet his needs. That was his personal business. That was her personal business.
Allegedly. This has never been confirmed, by the way. So I'm adding the allegedly for you. Okay, Jane?
Well, the main point that I'm trying to make is during the Second World War, we had a general that had an open affair with a woman driver of his automobile. That was hushed, supposedly. It was a known fact. He was later president. And it's a known fact that Mr. Clinton did his thing. Nobody did this to them. Fair is fair. I'm a Christian woman. I'm very broad-minded, well-educated. But this, to me, this has nothing to do with any criminal or political agenda.
Okay.
And I don't think these people are going to lose. Because if you try to do what's right, this man, he's a man. Men have needs. It's not what I would do, but that's his business, his personal business. There were other people that did the same thing, and they managed to survive.
Jane, I'm going to leave your comments right there, okay? So I appreciate you calling in, and thank you for being part of the show, okay?
And I hope that makes sense.
It does. It does.
It's not a crime for your personal business.
Okay,
but
Jane, we appreciate you sharing your insight with us today. Okay, Jane, thanks for calling in. All right, 877-943-9673. Give us a call now. We're live and local. Happy to help. This is the Attorney Patrick Smith Show. I'm your host, Attorney Patrick Smith, and today is Saturday, April 1st, April Fool's Day. Next, we are going to go to Bradenton and talk to Matt. Matt, welcome to the Attorney Patrick Smith Show.
Hey.
Hey, Matt.
Hey, how are you, Patrick?
Good. What's going on?
So here's my thought. I saw this girl from the grand jury that had done a little CNN. She seemed to be really out there in left field. So I realized they go through a jury selection process, but how do we make sure that Trump actually gets a fair jury pool to begin with?
Well, that'll be an issue for the attorneys to sort out if it gets to trial. Remember, we're a long way from trial. There's a lot to be done. I mean, the Trump team will file their defenses. There will more than likely be some offer of a plea, and anything could happen from there. So, but I think you're right. I think when it gets to jury selection, that's going to be a big part of the battle, is picking the jurors that give you the fair trial. And both attorneys on both sides will be volleying for their interests. So, Matt, great point. Would you serve as a juror if you were up there and called on? Would you want to do it?
Oh, heck yeah, I would do that in a heartbeat. But it seems like there's a high left influence up there, and they say that it's supposed to be a jury of your peers, and I don't know that I would have considered that girl on the grand jury.
Yeah, I don't think you can. I think you can get rid of the seams. I mean, there's a lot of left influence in the Empire State for sure. So yeah, Matt, great point. I appreciate you calling in. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday.
Thanks.
877-943-9673. 877-943-9673. Give us a call now. We're live and local. Happy to help any way that we can. Give us a call, and we will put you live on the air with your legal question or your thought on the President Trump indictment that came down the pike on Thursday. So 877-943-9673. All right, let's go to Fort Myers and let's talk to Chuck. Chuck, welcome to the Attorney Patrick Smith Show.
Thank you for taking the call.
Sure, Chuck. What's going on?
I believe that Clinton was impeached for what he did. But in the old days, tell them age, when Graham and Connie Mack and all those were in Florida, it seemed like that they worked together for the state of Florida. You didn't have this back and forth, and if you or I had committed a good example of Trump, and I'm not just pounding on Trump, but the phone call to Georgia, I think, is going to be the most damaging thing that they could have on him, because that's totally a violation of the law. And if it was you and I had done that, we'd already be in jail. And I adored. I thought Connie Mack did an excellent job, Porter Goss, and a lot of the people here in Florida. The Republicans here in Florida, and I think that it will play out that way. And I don't know why everybody has to be so biased one way or the other. My thought is whoever is the best person, not what party you belong to.
So, Chuck, let me ask you a question. You mentioned Georgia. Do you think there's ultimately going to be an indictment from the state of Georgia as well? There's currently that investigation going on.
I believe there will be, unless the Republican Party decides not to do it.
All right. Chuck, we appreciate your insight. Thanks for being part of the show.
Thank you.
All righty, 877-943-9673, live and local. This is the Attorney Patrick Smith Show. I'm your host, Attorney Patrick Smith. And again, we get emails requesting that I give out the office line again. The office number, if you want to reach me at the office for your complimentary consultation with yours truly, 877-754-6764, 877-754-6764, or just email me directly, patrick@attorneypatricksmith.com. You can also visit the website, attorneypatricksmith.com, submit a request for an appointment there. And you can also click on the radio link if you want to go back and listen to any of our prior broadcasts. So, but to talk to us today, 877-943-9673, 877-943-9673. All right, let's go to Palm Harbor and let's talk to, is it Backgammon? Am I saying that correctly?
Is it Backgammon Bob? I'm a regular caller on the Captain's Third Watch, and I wanted to comment on the Disney thing that DeSantis did.
Well, we're honored to have a captain caller call into the show. Go ahead, Backgammon Bob. The floor is yours.
Okay. When DeSantis changed the rules, or I guess he got the Senate to change the rules on that, this was correcting I think a too sweetheart of a deal that Disney got. Back then they never envisioned that. I don't think that Disney would be this big, and Disney exercises way too much power in that deal over the years. It's not fair to the residents of Orlando and stuff that Disney gets all these tax breaks, and I think DeSantis did the right thing on that. And as far as the Trump thing, I think that there's too much weaponization in the federal government. The federal government has way too much power. They're using the IRS against the lowest earnings, the IRS against those different groups. Hillary Clinton got a sweetheart deal when she didn't get charged for a lot of the things that she should have gotten charged for with the servers and all that kind of stuff.
All right, Backgammon Bob, I gotta cut you off and respond a little bit because I'm coming up on the top of the show. And Yumiko, let the calls on hold know that I'm happy to talk to them off the air if they'll just hold. So Backgammon Bob, real quick, what do you think of Governor DeSantis' statement regarding not assisting in an extradition that apparently is completely unnecessary since President Trump is cooperative? Do you agree that's political theater?
I think it's more of an affirmation that the whole process of this indictment and stuff was unnatural and is in effect for political purposes.
Yeah, but it kind of feels like a criticism that it's political theater, but at the same time being a participant in the political theater. Because you're saying, hey, we'll not assist in extradition, but no one's asked anyone to extradite anybody. So Backgammon Bob, thanks for calling in. I got to let you go because I got to wrap up the show. I really appreciate you calling into the show. Have a great Saturday, okay?
All right, excellent call.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Bob. I appreciate that. All righty. This is the Attorney Patrick Smith Show. Thank you to everyone who called in. We'll, of course, do a follow-up piece on the indictment of President Trump once we have the actual unsealed indictment to review. Bruce, hold on to that line, and I'll talk to you off the air. If you want to talk to me at the office during the week, that number, 877-754-6764. The office line for Clearwater, Sarasota, Sun City Center, any of our office locations, 877-754-6764. You can always email me as well, patrick@attorneypatricksmith.com. That's how I'll spend a couple hours right after the show answering your email questions. Everyone stay safe, God bless, and go Gators.
The proceeding was sponsored by the law offices of Patrick L. Smith. W282CI Tampa, W271CY Lakeland, W262CP Bayonet Point.
Online at letstalkfaith.com or listen on TuneIn and Odyssey.
Faith Talk Tampa salutes retired U.S. Army Lieutenant General William G. Boykin. 36 years serving his country. Originally a member of Delta Force, then commanding them in combat. Later commanding the Green Beret. Finally spending his last 4 years as Deputy Undersecretary of Defense. He now serves as an ordained minister and is Vice President of the Family Research Council. Lieutenant General Boykin is also keynote speaker at Tampa's 30th Annual National Day of Prayer, May 4th. For tickets, visit letstalkfaith.com. Presented by Word of Life Bible Institute.
Is God obsolete?
Do you think religion is good for the world?
It only causes troubles and war.
Our culture is shifting ever closer to atheism or irreligion. Today, the fastest growing religion is no religion at all.
Our fight in this world is not against Islam.